My name is Gina Alexandris. I am very pleased to join you for the next hour and a little bit, together with my colleague Andre Bacchus and three people who will be joining us. One current candidate, Monica, an alum, Ashley, who you'll hear from, and then we're also going to be joined by a mentor, a current mentor, in a little bit, Noreen. But until she's able to join us, we have lots to cover. We want to welcome all of you to the session. We're going to try and give you as much information as we possibly can. We know that people who are joining here today are from different parts of their journey. Some are still in law school. It was really good to see those who are preparing, who are in first year or in second year. Others are in their final year or graduates of law school or are doing the NCA process. And you're also coming to us from all parts of the world, which is wonderful to see. And we are very excited to give you some additional information about the law practice program at Toronto Metropolitan University. You'll see the agenda that is in front of you. That will be our guideway for the next hour plus. And what I also wanted to say is that this is part two, an information session part two, because if you want some foundational information, we already did that last month, and the link will come up, and I think Andre is going to be able to show you where you can find the link for the law practice program part one information that we held on February. You click on that link and you open the webinar, and you're able to hear all about it. There we go. So again, in terms of the webinar, we just want to make sure that you have part one available to you. Let's go back to the agenda, because what we wanted to do today is really give you an idea of how the program works. We talked about it last time. You heard from a couple of current candidates. And this time we want to give you a little bit of a sense of what you'd be experiencing, because oftentimes when you're thinking about joining an activity, you want to have a bit of a sense of what to expect. So that's why you're going to hear from Monica. Noreen, welcome, one of our mentors, a little bit later on, and Ashley. But what we want to do first, there are as you'll have already known, there are two parts to the program. The first 4 months is a simulation of a work experience, and we simulate the private practice experience that lawyers in Ontario have, and you work within virtual law firms, and we'll get to that in a second. And then the second part that Andre will touch on is the job work experience, where you're actually out in the field in actual placements for 4 months. Together, those two 4 month experiences, 4 and 4, the 8 month experience, is the overall experience that you'll have in the law practice program. It's not isolated, just the training and just the work experience. They really are connected, because you need the foundational part of the training to be able to succeed in the work experience. And you need both of them for us to be able to fundamentally say to the Law Society that the candidate has met the expectations of a new lawyer in Ontario for the experiential training requirement. So that's sort of the background. That's all the background that we want to give now, because again, the first part is already on the website. The virtual law firm. I just want to go into it a little bit. And with regards to the VLF overview, we have the acronym VLF. Law Practice Program was the first group to initiate virtual law firm trainings here in Canada, and it was very exciting to be able to do that. What you're going to do is take a journey with us on our dashboard in the one of the tools that you would be using as part of the VLF. And I'll explain it very briefly. Andre's got it up on the screen so that we can talk about it. But I wanted to highlight, and you'll hear from Monica, Ashley, and Noreen later on, that this tool is one of the tools that you use as you experience the training program in the first bit. We've said before, and we'll say it again, the law practice program is work, not school. Very much have that philosophy in mind as we go through the next little while in the conversation. The virtual law firm that you see here is one element. We'll use Zoom a lot. You will use different tools, including simulated clients. There are other opportunities for you to engage in, but in essence, it's a private practice work from home opportunity. So you'll see on our landing page when you first log on, and we've just got it up on the screen, a typical September day in 2025, and this is from the original, from this year's experience. And you'll see different meetings. So people might say, "Well, what are my days like?" And Monica, Ashley, and Noreen can sort of talk about this a little bit more. But in the calendar, what we put in there are the meetings, because inevitably in the professional world, you have a bunch of meetings. So we'll put the different meetings that you have, whether it's you'll see on regular weekly managing partners meetings starting later on in the month. We had Andre and I would have weekly managing partners meeting with all of you, where we sort of do a an overview of what the week entails and answer questions that might be coming up as we move forward. You would see um, video meetings with subject experts, for example, and these are meetings that you are required to participate in. But over and above these meetings, it's not just these video meetings that you have to engage with. That is just a fraction of the work that you'll be doing during the training. Andre, if you could just scroll up a little bit, please. Um, in between these meetings, what you have to fit in are a couple of other things. One are meetings with your clients, your team members, and with your mentors. And those are weekly, daily, biweekly, and more frequently. And so those are things that you have to plan for. And as well, you have to then also do the work. And so the work comes to you in a few different ways, and the resources for you to use are all listed here. Let's go through and break that down just a little bit. And again, this is just to give you an overview. We're not expecting you to all get it right away, but just to give you an overview. The calendar is really important for your live meetings, but with subject experts and with the program. But then you'll also have other meetings that you're going to schedule on Zoom using some of the technology in terms of the Google suite of programs that we have. So when we talk about the meetings, if you go to the messages and meetings tab, for example, and you see messages, our messages inbox is how we communicate with all the candidates about the different activities that you are expected to do. So in August, we sent a welcome message to all people who were coming into the program. And you'll see there are different links to things that we wanted people to do. And if you keep scrolling down, Andre, you'll see eventually work will start being requested. So you'll see a message from a senior partner in one of the areas, whether it's wills and estates, whether it's, and I'm just going to see if I think the work probably started in September. So we'll just stop actually at the right here, for example. Um, there's different expectations and from different people. So you'll be getting messages from experts, from the administration, from uh, law clerks, for example. That's all simulated potentially, but there'll be messages about work that we expect you to do. And the message for the work to do probably includes a couple of things. One, it will direct you to resources in the virtual law firm, and I'll ask Andre to take us there in a couple of seconds. But two, it'll also have the phrase of a deliverable. And the deliverable is the link to where you would upload the work that you have to do for your mentor to review it. And so messages is the way that we get information out to you. Deliverables is how you upload your work to the mentor to review and for us to know that you have done it on time. And then resources are what you would use to be able to get the work done. And so I'm going to ask Andre just to scroll up to the top again so we can go into the resources. Case files. There are a variety of different case files, as we talked about. If we just click into the wills and estates, we'll go to the last, or sorry, wills and estates, we'll just go to the last one. When you're in the wills and estates area, if we've asked you to look at wills and estates on a file, you'll see materials, you'll then see some videos, some content here, and precedents and checklists. So for each of the case files, you have access to resources, and Monica and Ashley can speak later on about the resources. These are created and crafted by leading experts in the province of Ontario on the various subject areas. And so it's really critical for you to ensure that you review these, have a look at these before you start the deliverables. Andre, if you want to go back to the content, there's one more thing that I want to show to everybody who is watching. Messages and meetings also has, under the messages and meetings tab, also has mentor meeting themes. part of your responsibility and part of what we have to acknowledge to the Law Society is that you also have an understanding of your professionalism requirements, practice management requirements. And so once a week, starting in week 3, if Andre, you can scroll down, please, is a theme. And we oftentimes will showcase the different themes that we want the candidates to talk about. So you'll see a little bit of a conversation with Monica and Noreen. Each week, when we get started in the work that you do with your mentors, we see professionalism and ethics, the confidential information, your time, the file, your duties and responsibilities. Each of these links to, and we don't have to go there yet, they link to an agenda with a link to the resources that you're expected to review ahead of time and come with a conversation to discuss with your team, with your firm, and with your mentor. And so all of these together form the activity and the resources and the areas that you're going to be engaged in during the virtual law firm. It's not a single course, and that we want to get you out of that thinking that it's a single course. It is a holistic simulation of an experience of being in private practice. You have to manage your time. You have to search through different resources. You have to complete work. You're getting feedback from your mentor. You're doing things over again so that you can get more feedback. And then you are assessed at some point on how well you're able to showcase the competencies. So this is a little bit of what we mean by the virtual law firm. I want to turn it over to Andre because this you need to complete in the first 4 months before you can move into a work experience. And you are applying for jobs while you're doing the training. We joke that we're probably one of the only law firms in Ontario that invites you and requires you to find your next job while you're actually in it. That's during the training component. It is a simulation, but you're looking for the next role. The next role is the work experience. And I want to turn it over to Andre for a little bit of an overview of the LPP site before we go to the conversations.
Great. Thanks so much, Gina. As Gina mentioned, it is a busy time for you. So over the 8 months of the program, in particular, as you begin the first 4 months, you have a lot of activity that's happening. The virtual law firm activity with all the case files, skills development, professionalism. But during that time as well, you probably notice that you also have to be applying to opportunities and conducting outreach. So in order to do all of this, to be able to successfully secure a work experience, we support you on that front. It's important to remember, though, that this forms a basis for everything that comes next when you start the second half of the program, which is that 4 month work experience from January to April. So as part of that, I've given some screenshots here right now of what you'll expect to see when you go into the LPP job site, as referred to it as. And I'm going to take you over to it so you get a chance to see what it looks like. So on my screen, you're going to see a very simple looking homepage where the information is located. And what I'd like to do is take you first off to the job search category. The job search category is sort of where we actually post opportunities that you will be applying to. So our coordinators that are part of the work experience team, they go out to employers in the various communities and marketplaces to try to develop relationships, bring those opportunities in so we can post them for you to apply to. The opportunity, when you click on it, you'll see a description of it. You'll see all the information you need to be able to apply to this with tailored material. This is just one aspect, though, of securing the work experience. So what we say to everyone is, yes, you're going to apply to the roles that we post, but you're also going to be doing your conducting outreach part. And we're going to get to that in a moment to create your own opportunity as well. But when you see our postings that are up here, you'll see that they have a time to apply, a time when they expire, a description of the employer, and all the information that you need to craft a cover letter and a resume to be able to submit. This is a competitive process. So it's really important that you read all the detail. So whether it's an in-house role or it's in private practice, or if it's something else within private practice in a different area, you need to read carefully these job descriptions to appreciate what's going on to tailor your material. So we have a lot here to go through, and it does take time. We encourage you to read it carefully, tailor the material, proofread it, ensure everything's perfect so that you can submit it. But that is just one side of things when it comes to securing a work experience. The other part of this, though, as well, is all the outreach that you're going to do as part of your networking to create your own opportunity. So I'm just going to go back to the homepage for a moment, and I'm just going to take a quick look here at the LPP resources. So these are the work experience resources that we post to help you on your journey. I'm just going to take a quick look here at the resources, and you're going to find here that there are a number of them that are listed. First off, the application pieces that you're going to need to take a look at. So when you're applying to the job, we want you to do it in a great way. We want you to find success as part of it. But in order to do that, you've got to look at the resources that we provide, how to apply, as well as the guide for creating great material. And of course, as well, looking at the templates and samples that we provide as well. So you're going to see that all of that's available to you as part of the resource. And then eventually, as you scroll down here, you're also going to find what we refer to as the outreach material. So the outreach material is your opportunity then to leverage some great tips and experiences to be able to build your network and to create your own work experience. So the majority of our candidates, yes, do secure opportunities through the postings, but at the same time, at least a third secure their work experience through their own outreach. So this is a combination process. You can't just rely on one pathway. You actually need to use both. And we want to make sure as part of this that we're encouraging you from day one to take full advantage of all the resources, take full advantage of what's in front of you simultaneously to then ultimately secure that experience to start in the January term to then cover the January to April period that you need to be in. Remember, as Gina pointed out, this is an 8-month program. So everything needs to happen in these 8 months. So all of the training and the VLF experience that you're going to have to build those wonderful skills. In addition to that, doing the work you need to do when it comes to securing the work experience, and then ultimately then beginning from January to April, that work experience. And that's critical that you then block off your time in your calendar. You understand that this is a full-time commitment and recognize that you need to be able to do this as part of the journey. If for any reason you're finding yourself in a position where you can't commit fully, then likelihood of success as part of the program becomes a bit of a challenge. So you want to make sure you give yourself that room. You give yourself the ability to really find success as part of this. So that is the work experience side of things. I don't want to go into too much detail because so much in here, but what I will say to you is that once you join us, you'll have access to all of this to be able to set you up for success as you move forward, not just in securing a work experience though, but also when you complete the program, all the skills you've gained as part of this will serve you well as you look for that next opportunity in your career and as you continue to move through your career, going from opportunity to opportunity. It will set you up for success on that front. So just as a reminder then, you've got some great resourcing here to be able to leverage. We're going to here to support you along with our team members. But again, it'll be up to you as part of that. So what I'm going to do is take you back for a second to the slides. And before I move on, I know that there's some questions that are already coming in into the chat for us here. And I'm going to just take one of them in particular where someone says, this is work and not school. It's important to recognize, and while you do have assessments, that we are treating this like work, meaning it is your responsibility, meaning that it's really up to you to be on top of your deadlines. It's up to you to make sure that you seek the feedback. It's up to you to make sure that you're doing all the things that we mentioned. There won't be someone following up with you to say, have you done this? There won't be an overall syllabus to say that here's everything that you're going to experience in the VLF and that how things will unfold. In fact, just like real life, when you're at work, you might come in with 10 things that you want to get accomplished that day. And all of a sudden the phone rings, the email goes off and something else happens. A lawyer walks into your office or a client walks into your office and says, I have an urgent issue. You'll need to adapt to that. You'll need to manage that. And you'll need to still get on top of all the things that you wanted to accomplish. So that's why we say it is a full-time commitment, because you're not sure exactly what's going to come your way. Yes, there'll be a skeleton structure for some of the days and weeks that you're going to see in the calendar. But in addition to that, there will be the unexpected. And in addition to that, you'll have interviews for potential employment opportunities. In addition to that, you'll have cover letters and resumes to submit. In addition to that, you'll have outreach that you'll be doing. In addition to that, you're also going to have life that will take place as well. So this is something that you need to be ready for, to commit to, and to be on top of as part of that process. So I hope I've managed to cover some of the things that were mentioned in that question. Another part of this, though, that also comes up is that do we guarantee the work experience? I'd like to just be very clear about that. In our FAQs on the website, and for those of you who have visited the website already and those who haven't necessarily yet, you'll notice that we have a lot of FAQs at the top of the page for our employers as well as prospective candidates. We strongly encourage you to take a moment and click load more and review all of these FAQs. They will provide you with some great information on the things that you're wondering about, but at the same time, we'll answer directly the question that has been asked here. Do we guarantee? And we don't guarantee a work experience because we aren't the decision makers. The employers who do the interviewing and the hiring are the ones who decide. So it is a competitive process, but if you follow the advice that we're providing, you do the things that you need to do, the likelihood of securing something becomes much higher. So we are building a foundation that you can then leverage and continue to build on top of to be able to find success. That is what the LPP is all about. It's success in the skills that you're gaining in the BLF and success from the work experience opportunities and the skills you're gaining there. Gina, I
So,
know I've
mhm.
covered a few of those.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add there?
Absolutely. And then we'll take it over into the conversations. I just want to add on the deliverables question. As Andre said, you don't get a syllabus at the beginning of all the things that you have to do. If you're interested on the website, you can see a portfolio of past experiences that the candidates have had and the different type of work that you have. And so when we talk about final assessments, they happen at 2 points. They happen in October, they happen in December. And in essence, they're the culmination of a case file. So for example, it could be a closing in a solicitor's file. It could be a motion, or it could be a case or a trial rather, or discoveries. It depends on the case and it depends on the file itself. And so those are the assessments that are part of the overall review. However, that's not how we will let the LSO know. And to answer one of the questions, this is an Ontario program. Our requirement is to confirm to the Law Society of Ontario that the candidates has met the expectations of the requirements to enter practice in Ontario. And so we, apart from or in addition to the assessment that you have in October and December, we're also looking at how you're performing during your mentor evaluation. There's a rubric, a criteria that the mentor has to sort of fill out once a month about your performance in the program, your writing, your communication, your professionalism, which is a very huge part of the program, and all of that together comes to the determination of whether or not you have met the expectations. Just like you wouldn't know in real practice what all your workload is for 4 months, you have an idea of the cases that you're dealing with. You know the skills we're trying to get you to develop, and it works itself out. I think Ashley and
And
Monica will be able to tell us a little bit more about that when we speak.
yeah,
Sorry.
and Gina, just as you mentioned there as well about the Ontario piece, I'd like to clarify as well for all of those attending and for those who are going to be watching the recording that it's important to appreciate that this is an Ontario-based program and that during the work experience, you must be physically based in Ontario
Hmm.
to be able to complete the work experience. So you must be in the province of Ontario. We also encourage those who may be outside of the province of Ontario during the training component to rethink that decision, simply because during the training component, while it is online, you also need to be in the province to be able to meet interviews with employers, to conduct networking and outreach, to be able to really connect with the profession, with your colleagues. So being outside of the province can be a tremendous disadvantage. And we have seen it over our decade plus of experience that candidates who are not in the province find it tremendously difficult to complete the program successfully. So it's important to keep that in mind. If you are planning to do the LPP, and we hope that all of you are as part of this when you're visiting us today, we'd like you to just be aware of the things that you need to prepare for to find success as part of this journey. We want to
And
support you, but can only support you if you're doing the things that need to happen on that front. Sorry, Gina?
no, and I was going to say one of the
Yeah.
things, it's an answer to the other question that I'm going to ask Noreen and Monica to come forward. One of the questions is about technology, and absolutely, as we said, this is a virtual program for the first part, you need to be able, and Monica might be able to speak to this later, you need to at least have a comfort with technology. You see that we are using online systems, online programming. The first part of our program for 4 months is a virtual placement. In essence, it's a simulated placement. So you do need to feel comfortable working from remotely. And that's really important because if you prefer in person, that's something that you have to take in mind. Some people say that they feel isolated if they're working remotely from home. Other people thrive in this kind of an environment. Please understand that technology, and we have all the technology needs for people who do register and confirm their interest in us. But that's something you need to have in place ahead of time. So let's take a look now. I'm really excited to have Noreen Majid with us, who has been a mentor, I want to say, since the beginning of the program. And maybe before we do the simulation, a brief introduction from Noreen and a current candidate, Monica. Very briefly, an introduction by each of you about your what you're doing right now, and then we'll get into the simulation of a typical meeting of mentor and candidate. Noreen first with you, and then Monica, and then we'll do the simulation. Noreen, welcome.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Andre. Hello, everyone. So my name is Noreen Majid. I have been a lawyer in Ontario for over 20 years. I actually have a background in civil law as well from Quebec. I am bilingual, and I currently work for the federal government, so I'm a public servant. But I have worked in the private sector as well, and I have worked internationally as well. And my joy is always giving back to the profession and being part of the LPP and seeing it thrive over the last, I think I've been part of it for 8 years or so. And so I'm always happy to meet the new candidates, talk with them, and watch how they succeed from the start of the program through the program, and then to go on to successful law careers afterwards. And they stay in touch. And Monica is one of those great examples of working with someone for a few months and then seeing them take off. So I'm happy to answer any questions as we go. And right now, I'll just hand it off to Monica, who's going to tell you her experience working with me, but also within the program.
Hello, my name is Monica Selimovic, and I am an LPP candidate. I secured a degree here from York University before studying abroad, so I came through as an NCA student, and I found the program to be really, really helpful. I listened to everything the Work Experience Office said, Andre said, my mentor said, and as Noreen said, taking off is exactly what happened. I landed a position as a student at law on the litigation team at a mid-sized firm downtown, which is what I really wanted to do. A bit of a mixed bag. We've done some civil, commercial, and family law for the interpersonal element. So there's a lot of direction and guidance through the program. And if you just apply it and apply yourself, I have no doubt that I will be like Noreen one day, cheering all of you on as you succeed as well.
Fantastic. Thank you both. And what we're going to do now is, as I mentioned earlier, one of the requirements that you have is to engage in meetings. And you might ask, well, what are those meetings going to be about? When we talk about the virtual law firm, we're the biggest, I think we are among the biggest law firm because we have about 300 candidates and all sorts of practitioners, about 150 practitioners who support the program. And one of the expectations when you meet with your small group in about 4 or 5 members with a mentor is to work together as sort of a mini firm. And Noreen, your mentor, is one of 2 mentors that you will have who will oversee your development and the information and the work that you do. So what we've thought we would do is give you an example. Bi-weekly, you have a one-on-one meeting with a mentor, with your mentor. You have weekly meetings with your firm and the mentor to discuss professionalism themes, but we're going to take a bit of a moment and just listen to Noreen and Monica showcase what it would be like to have one of their bi-weekly mentor and candidate meetings. I'm going to pause. Noreen and Monica, over to the 2 of you.
Wonderful. So, hi, Monica. Thanks for setting this meeting up. How are you doing today?
Hi, Noreen. I'm very well. Thank you so much for making the time to meet with me. I look forward to our discussion today. I hope you're doing well as well.
I'm doing great. So this is going to probably be our first or maybe second of several meetings over the next couple of months as you start the program. I like to give a little bit of background before we get into the meeting. Usually these meetings are every 2 weeks. We try to schedule them according to both of our calendars. We can make it a standing appointment if you like, but there's a lot of flexibility as well. I also say we do about 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes it goes over, but the idea of this meeting is really to hear from you. What do you need from me? How are you doing in the program? Is there any question that I can answer, or maybe direct you to someone in the program that can answer it, or anything about the work you're doing? So that's usually what this meeting's about. I take a few minutes just to maybe address some things personally that we couldn't discuss in the whole group, that might just be better to discuss one-on-one with you rather than all the candidates. So that's usually how I like to run these meetings, but it's a full conversation. So if there's anything you want to talk about, let me know.
Thank you so much for being accessible and accommodating me. So there is something that I wish to speak to you about. I feel like there's a scramble to find a placement, and I'm not entirely sure of where I would fit in. So if you could just guide me and let me know if there's a way that I could conduct my outreach better, or structure my resume better, or position myself to succeed better. I'm open to any and all advice on your part.
Okay, so that's a great question. And just in case I didn't mention it in our weekly firm meeting, I've been part of the program for a good 8-9 years. And all the candidates have a similar concern about how to balance this program and their life, and then finding a job, because finding a full-time job is a full-time job in and of itself. But the first thing I'll say is you had a CV and a cover letter, I think, workshop with the program, and or you have some resources through the LPP that can help you get your CV and your cover letter on point. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. The Work Experience Office.
That's perfect. And so some years, the program invites mentors to review these CVs and provide a bit more direct, not an assessment, you're not graded on it, but to give a little bit of feedback on it. So we haven't had a chance to do that this year. So if you'd like, you can send me your CV and let me know what jobs you've seen on the job posting. And I can look at that. And in our next one-on-one, I can give you some direct pointers how you might tailor your CV and your letter to each of those things. Okay, so that'll be more of a personalized approach that I can offer you as your mentor. The second thing I'll say is when you're approaching your job placement, I'm sure you, just as I do after 20 years, have a wish list. So you want to practice this kind of law with this kind of salary in this city. And so what I would invite you to consider is that sometimes we might need to have that wish list, but think of outside of the wish list. So you might, when you look at some of the job placement offers, think that, well, I don't want to work in Barrie, Ontario, or I'm in the GTA and I can't travel. So geographic location is really important because you need to show up. All of these in-placement job experiences, for the most part, are on-site. They're not online. So if you do apply to something, that is something you need to keep in mind, that you will probably be asked to show up. And that might require a relocation, even if it's temporary, or some travel. So I don't want you to restrict yourself to what's right around you. That's one thing to consider. The second thing to consider is don't restrict yourself to your dream practice area. So what is your area that you love? Which area of law do you love? Commercial law. So if you see a posting for immigration law or family law, you might think, oh, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. But what I advise all candidates is that the practice of law at its heart and its foundation is the same no matter what kind of law you practice. So everything you're learning in the LPP, all the skills about drafting, about communicating in writing, communicating orally, are going to be useful whether you practice commercial law or you practice immigration law. Okay, so if you think about that in terms of a work placement, the skills you would learn through an immigration placement will help you eventually down the road to find that job in a commercial setting. So I want you to be open to applying to some of these jobs that might not be your immediate wish list. So think about the location, think about the area of law, and widening that scope, okay? Because your skills are transferable, and you might learn something through immigration that might be applicable in commercial litigation, right? And so if you have that holistic approach and you apply to a wider net, you might find that you get a lot more reception, especially if you tailor your experience in your letter to the positions you're applying. Also, don't wait till the last minute. So that's a few things to think about. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's good to adjust my expectations. That's the first thing. And remember that this is a profession that lends itself well to everything. Just like you said, I might go into immigration law and be able to transfer those skills. Like one of the things I always said I would never do is family law. And now the more I read about it, I can't imagine wanting to do many other things, because of that interpersonal skill and that contact with people, being relatable. So I'm thinking I'm going to maybe send you 2 applications with customized cover letters and have you look them over, and some of the things that I've implemented from the WEO for my resume and formatted it accordingly for each post. And you can let me know what the professional standard is today, like where am I more likely to get an interview and what your thoughts are on that. I'm open to relocation. I'm actually open to working in person. I think it's much more exciting to meet people in person. I'm just like open, because the most important thing, the reason I'm here, is that I wanted to build my network. And I feel if I just get out there and start working, that's the first step. Do you think that that's sensible?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. So I'll wait to get those documents from you. Make sure I always respond to the emails I receive, so you'll know that I received it. On that note, while we have a moment, I wanted to see if you had any questions about the feedback I gave you on your last memo. So as you've noticed, we talk about the weekly themes in the firm, and I really appreciate when you engage, because that's part of the assessment of seeing how you communicate orally and seeing how you and your colleagues work in the firm together. And so some of the ideas you brought up about time management this week on our weekly theme were really important. I do want to point out something that I told or remind you of something. Be sure you're on top of your docketing. That's not something you're going to want to leave till later. So for example, you're going to want to docket that we had this 15-minute meeting, right? And then choose which category under which to put it. Is it billable, unbillable, and things like that. So this is a good thing to start practicing right from the start. And if you have any questions, we can go over that. Sorry, go ahead.
I just had a question about the feedback for my research memo that you've given me. I did do the citations accordingly, but you've informed me that just for ease of reference, that most people today prefer hyperlinks. So I'm just wondering, should I include them in the body of the text as well as in the footnotes?
So that's a great question. So on your business law memo, I looked at it. I think I wrote to you specifically that the content was really nice. The balance between facts, legal content, and then the analysis and your legal opinion was really clearly outlined. The small details that were missing was the format. So the format of the memo is almost a standard format that the LPP might model and recommend. But keep in mind that you might get a job somewhere and they might have a different template or approach that they want. But some of the standard things that they're going to need are the headlines and the page numbers, and obviously correct citations. So they may ask you to do it differently. Here, I would think, don't put your citations in the text alone. Create a citation as a footnote. Make sure the footnote and the citations follow the McGill guide for citations. And if there's a hyperlink, because that's the content that you accessed, make sure that there's a document that they can link to. I often recommend when you're doing your research to also include the list of authorities that you checked at the end, because this is a learning environment. And so that helps me understand the work you did. And we can talk about the specific citations if something needs tweaking for the particular memo.
Thank you so much. I'll apply that advice.
Great. Any other questions you have?
I think that's it for now. I'm just mostly, looking on the job boards and thinking about doing outreach. If you have any recommendations how I should tailor my emails for outreach, like if I'm applying to family or immigration law, should I use a different tone than something more businessy or government?
It's going to depend on who you're applying to, of course. If it's a small boutique firm, if it's a larger firm, if it's public service, and down the line, if we have enough time and we plan it right, I can even do a bit of a small run of a mini interview simulation to prep you before, because I'm sure you'll get some calls for interviews. So once you pass that paper screening stage, we'll work on some of those interview skills. So that's really some of the things we have time for today. But if ever there's any other concerns, just drop me an email and we can set another time to talk.
Oh, what? Thank you so much, Noreen. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you both. And again, this happens across the board with 300 candidates and each of them with their mentors every 2 weeks. You're having a 15-minute meeting where it could be about work. It could be more about the memo or the work that they've done. It could be about a professionalism topic. It really is the candidate's time to have that one-on-one or the mentor's time to have that one-on-one if they're seeing something of concern or something that they want to speak to, as Noreen mentioned in her introduction to Monica, privately. So thank you both for that. Andre, I'm going to turn it over to you for the conversation, and then we'll with all three of our guests, and then we'll move forward. So I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Gina. Thank you, Noreen, and thank you, Monica. I'm now going to move into the next part of our conversation with Ashley Moniz, who's one of our LPP alumni, as well as a person who works at the same organization we do at TMU now, Toronto Metropolitan University, in the legal counsel's office. Ashley, I'm going to get you to take a moment to introduce yourself, and then we're going to go through a few questions for you to be able to share your experiences and to provide your feedback and advice about your journey through the program. So, Ashley, over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andre, and thank you to you and Gina for inviting me to be here today. So as Andre said, my name is Ashley Moniz. I am legal counsel at Toronto Metropolitan University. I work in-house, mostly on corporate matters, IP, though a large part of my portfolio right now is working on research contracts, so specifically anything to do with research administration for the university, as well as IP commercialization. So I did the LPP as it says on the screen back in 2019 and 2020. It was a fantastic experience. That's why every time Andre and Gina invite me to come back, I'm always more than happy to come and talk about it. I really think it was one of the best decisions that I've made in my career. When I look back at my legal journey so far, I think, and I tell people this all the time, the part that I think I personally enjoyed the most being a part of was the LPP training. I definitely had some doubts about my career path back when I was in law school, but going through and doing the simulated case files actually showed me that this is a profession I can be in. This is work that I can enjoy doing. So yeah, and I think the LPP has really defined my career and where I am. I wouldn't be where I am if not for it. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Really appreciate it. We're hoping that you can tell us a little bit about why you chose the LPP, maybe rather than going down the articling route or doing something else instead.
Yeah, so there were a few factors that affected my choice to do the LPP. One was I did try to do the traditional articling recruits, applying for articling jobs. I was not getting much traction. I think I had one interview for an articling position over a course of 15 months that I was applying on and off for positions. So it was a struggle. I remember in my third year, I had a colleague of mine who was going through the LPP. He was a really good friend of mine. And he kind of told me about his journey through the training, through the work experience, and he just spoke glowingly about the process. So the program was always definitely in the back of my head. I started jumping in on some of the webinars like this one, the information sessions, to learn more about it, to learn more about how the program worked, and the success of the candidates that came out of it. And yeah, I was really impressed with how the program was structured, the diversity of types of like different types of law and different types of work that you get exposed to as part of the program. Um, so yeah, when the time came towards May, I had to make a decision, and I could keep trying to do something that wasn't working, or I could try a new path and just do something that might fit me a little bit better. And that's why I made the choice to take the LPP.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Now, as part of being a member of the LPP, and we'll start with the virtual training component and the work that you've been doing there. Tell us a bit about the journey and what you experienced, how busy it was, the kinds of skills that you gained. You mentioned there's a little bit about the exposure to different types of work that you may not have had been considering before, how that helped to influence things as it moved forward.
Yeah, so my training, if you'll bear with me, this was almost 7 years ago now. So I'm really, I've been jogging my memory even just sitting through this webinar. But yeah, so overall, like it's a busy program. Like as Gina mentioned earlier, you're treating this as your full-time job, and you're putting in the hours for that accordingly. I was very fortunate personally that I completed the licensing exams before I started the training. I secured my work placement very early on. I was able to like I don't have any childcare obligations, elder care. I didn't have a part-time job at the time, so I was really fortunate to be in a position that I could um, dedicate all of my time towards doing the LPP training and working on the case files. And I will say that I think the one of the major things about the LPP is that it's very much the kind of program where you get out of it the value that you put into it. So the more that you invest in yourself in working on those files and trying to learn from them, the more that you will get back with that. Like you get to work with and be advised by different lawyers in many different fields, whether they're the assessors, whether they're creating the case files, whether they're your mentors. And the more present you are in that process and the more willing you are to be engaged, the more of an impression you make as time goes on. Like everyone, all the lawyers who involve themselves with the LPP are doing it because they want to give back. They want to connect with new candidates and to give you a leg up and to support you as much as you can. So yeah, like the day to day of the training, it really, as you both said earlier, it can really vary. There were days when I had meetings all day. There were days that were relatively quiet meeting wise, but I had a lot of work that needed to be done. So really, as unpredictable as it can be, it's good to have some kind of plan of knowing what you would like to do during the day as well as what you really need to do during the day. Like, what are those urgent deadlines that you absolutely have to meet? Planning around those first, just being very organized. Like, I used to keep a list of all of my upcoming deadlines. And that was constantly shifting, but it definitely helped to keep me grounded. And yeah, just being present and being committed for that 4 month period. Um, yeah, I really learned a lot about like different areas of law that I wouldn't have expected. And like we talked about earlier, like family law was something I never thought that I would take to, but doing the case file, I could appreciate why people really enjoy and value doing that kind of work. And I know and I appreciate the people who do it and the service that they provide in that field, for example. So yeah, that's
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And you talked about how busy it was, and you talked about having to juggle things as you were dealing with it. One of the things that we wanted to probe a bit deeper on is this idea that the skills that you bring to the table, not just the knowledge about the law, but the actual skills around practice management, professionalism, the types of things that really do set you up for success when you're out there. What are the experiences that you engaged in as part of the LPP that helped you in that work experience and then helped you now in practice every day?
So definitely the organizational skills that I touched upon earlier. I think that's key for everything and something that I'm still kind of evolving and learning how to do. Um, being being open to learning new things. Like, don't let yourself get discouraged if you don't know all the answers right away. Like, you are not going to know all the answers right away. And everybody around you knows that and is completely okay with that as long as you put in the best effort to learn and to better yourself and to give the best answer that you can. I think that's really key as well. Learning how to even draw from your past experiences. I know when I think both when I started law school and kind of when I started the LPP, I kind of treated it as a clean slate. Like, everything that I did thus far was to get here, and now I have to learn how to do things differently. Totally not. That is the worst thing that you can tell yourself. Like, you've all got to this point. You've all got to where you are for a reason, and by doing things that work for you, keep building on those things. Like, I can talk about little specifics that work for me, but if you have ways of managing your files, of building relationships with people, of how you go about drafting documents or writing or getting your ideas on paper, how you communicate yourself. Like, if you have your ways of doing that, don't feel like you need to do it differently. Like, keep refining what works for you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Ashley. Now, in your current role at TMU, you actually are now the employer. You've got our candidates in your office working with you and working with the rest of your team. Could you share with us what do you look for now that you've had the chance to come through the program, now become the employer? What are you looking for in candidates when it comes to folks that you want to be able to bring onto your team? And then once they're on their team, finding success as part of that.
Yeah. I will say I went through my first hiring cycle with TMU this past fall, and it was wild being on this side of it. Um, so I think something that's important to know, whether you're applying within the LPP or outside, but particularly in the LPP, like, you are a large candidate pool. So we're going through, I don't think I can say exactly how much because I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but like, we literally were a team of three dividing applications between us and going through large amounts of documents. So when you're one of that many candidates, you have to find a way to make yourself stand out. And I think one of the best things that I was looking for was just anybody who seemed like they had a handle and like a genuine understanding of the kinds of work that we do in-house at TMU and could really communicate how their past experiences lend to that and how their career goals and their interests align with the kind of work that we're doing. You're really looking for what will jump out and say, this is what makes me different from the 299 other people whose applications you're looking at. I can also say, like, it's almost easier to talk about things that made it easier to set applications aside. Things like, I know through the program, I remember when I was in the program, Andre would give these sessions where he would say like the same list of things to the point where everyone would be like, oh my God, it's Andre going again. Everything this man says about making applications is the truth. Like, follow what he says. And I will say as well, as a side note, before I go into the negative things, the resources that the LPP provides, like the sample CVs, the cover letters. I literally rebuilt my CV around one of the templates that they had. They are really good resources that have actual like, they talk about, even in their examples, diverse experiences that people act like. I know people who actually have, like, a lot of the ones that I've seen in the past are like oh, I was an intern at NASA, but like nobody does that. Well, okay, some people do that, but it's not very common. It's like, how does that help me? I found like the resources specifically that the LPP has are very relevant and very helpful. So that said, um, proofreading your application, like if we see lots of spelling, grammatical errors in the application, it's very easy to say this person does not have a strong attention to detail. If they're going to be doing a rotation, especially in litigation, like you need clean documents for that. So that was one thing. It was very clear when people were copying and pasting information directly from the job posting into the cover letter. I remember a few applicants in particular who seem to have literally just copied and pasted the list of areas of law from that we had in our posting. And we're just like, I am interested in insert like 3 lines of areas of law that come up in our office. Like we can tell when it's just copied and pasted and when you are saying that you like these things because you think that's going to get in versus when you say, no, I'm interested in this area of law. I've studied it. I've had these life experiences that lend to it. Like it's very easy to tell some of those differences. Or when someone just like picks something up off our website, like I can see a lot of people like to say, oh, I love TMU's focus on EDI. I had like 50 people say that they loved that TMU is focused on EDI. And and we're seeing that's like, okay, that's great, but like, what do you want to do with that? Why does that lend itself to your legal career and what you want to get out of your placement as well? So yeah, I think the big takeaway is it's hard to stand out, but especially where you have those places you're applying to where you can see something that you can latch onto or something that you can say, yeah, I have like similar experience to that. I've done work like that before. I like that where you can really make yourself stand out. Take advantage of those opportunities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashley. And before I turn it back over to the Q&A, because I see the Q&A piling up here inside of our chat window, I just wanted to also open things up a little bit more and ask Noreen and Monica if you wanted to add anything else in as well around when it comes to employers and work experiences and also the skills fundamentally that you're leveraging from the program that are helping you in your placement. And Monica, in your case right now.
Certainly. So firstly, everything Ashley said is true. And I mentioned it earlier. Listen to the Work Experience Office. The program is designed to help you succeed, but you have to help yourself. So you really have to look broadly, be open, like everything Noreen said, adjust your expectations. You'll have to relocate, but you don't know what opportunity waits for you. I use the templates to modify my CV, and I asked both of my mentors and the WEO to look them over just to give myself a better chance. We also did mock interviews and things like that. Don't be scared, ask your cohort, ask each other to help prep, run drills, ask your mentors. These people are here to help you. And take the advice. Remember that your mentors and everybody here has worked in the law. They know this field. They understand. But there's no tricks. You really, if you follow the templates, you put yourself out there, you do the outreach, you keep track of everything, then your chances of getting where you want to be increase exponentially. And I also want to say, Ashley mentioned, he was fortunate to finish the licensing exams. I hadn't done mine yet. And I don't want people to think that that's going to disadvantage them or something like that. It just depends, like whatever works for you, your time of life and my time of life. It didn't. I'll get to it. We'll all get called to the bar. But for the time being, go use the professional development tools that the program provides to help yourself. It certainly helped me tailor my cover letters because I wasn't used to, I had legal speak, but not the format. I wasn't really sure what they were looking for. And Ashley said, don't just copy paste things. One of the things I think that this field does, we all want to be a credit to our profession. And we know it's very serious and authoritative, but don't forget you're an individual. And there's something for you, whether you're on your feet as an advocate, whether you work in-house or research, there's something for everybody. So make sure that your skills and your personality shines through. That is probably what's going to set you apart. So if you struggle with interviewing, You want to focus on that. Like I struggled with my cover letter and I was very open about that. I want to get hired, help me be better. And good thing I did, because on my first day at 9:30 a.m., I was assigned a research memo. So I can't be shy about writing. You've got to hit the ground running. So everyone here is here to help you. If you're aware of your blind spots or what could use some tweaking, bring it forward. And sometimes you get confused and you say, I don't know why I'm not getting hired. What's going on? And people will help you re-navigate. Be really, really open. That's my biggest piece of advice. Do everything the program says and be open to changing, be open to relocating. Like, honestly, I thought, working remote would be fantastic. And now I realize that's not for me. I'm so glad I come in every day, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't keep an open mind. So just be open, take the advice and apply it and apply yourself. There's only so much people can do for you. At the end of the day, you are pitching, you're selling yourself. You are your own brand. Your reputation will precede you. So you've got to put in the work on the resume, put the work into the program, put the work into your cover letter, and put the work into your interview skills to give yourself a really good fighting chance. And if you do those things, I have no doubt you will find yourself employed, having a placement, celebrating, and everything will be great.
Monica, I love your optimism and your energy, and I really do hope that that's sensed by others. And Noreen, before we go over to you, I want to ask you something. Um, One of the questions earlier was about technology, and we've talked about how the training, especially in the first 4 months, you're using a lot of different technology. And I know you and I have had a conversation about technology and how much you love it or not love it. Can you and maybe Noreen, then we'll bring her in, talk about technology and how much of it there is and how comfortable you have to feel with it, just from your own experience in the program?
Certainly. So you need to have some level of computer literacy. So I went to, I think it was the week before the program. I didn't want to use my personal laptop because it was sluggish and old. I dragged it through law school. It's like 13 years old. I went to Costco and just got like a regular laptop just to give myself a better chance. Have good, stable Wi-Fi you can rely upon. Have a laptop. The program will help you. You're going to get access to Drive, like Google Drive. You're going to get access to Microsoft and things like that. But have some idea of what you're doing. It's really not that daunting. And of course, cell phones, you have to be able to use phones, leave messages, know how to do these little things. But more importantly, it's like a social literacy. You should, through your technology, you're going to be communicating to other people. So make sure that you have good correspondence with them. You speak with decorum. You address people accordingly. So the technology is a tool, but a tool is useless if you don't use it. So I just think the capability and capacities shouldn't frighten anyone. It's most of us these days have an email address. We have internet data or Wi-Fi. We have something to work on. You don't have to get the flashiest thing. I certainly didn't, and it got me through. And like I'm on my computer right now in my placement, and it's fine. You just need enough to get you there, and then the rest you'll be okay. But I would definitely take the advice.
I appreciate it. And we have a lot of guides and whatnot that can help you. But Noreen, let's bring you in as a mentor on this point of technology in particular, and then just general comments. Then Andre, back to you. Sorry, Noreen.
Well, I think you can see why I enjoyed working with Monica, because she personifies what any lawyer or teacher or mentor wants to see. Somebody who is hungry to learn, hungry to know where they can even do better, and is open to trying those things and then succeeding, right? And so if the program is anything, it's the opportunity for you to come and show up with everything you are, any concerns that you want to develop, and also all your strengths, and then talking to not just your mentor, not just the LPP team, but the other colleagues that you're working with. You're going to make a network that can last you your entire life, right? You can learn from them, you can support them. And then at the same time, you're using this 4-month pre-job environment to, for lack of a better word, make mistakes without any consequences, except that someone's going to say, maybe you could have tried this, or you forgot to address this particular area of law, or when you were interviewing the client, there was a personal style that you had that might need a little adjustment because you might want to try speaking a little bit less technically to someone who might not understand the legal term, right? And so having that person observe you and then provide feedback that you can then consider and implement is golden. I still want it today at 20 years of experience, because sometimes we pick up habits or ways of working that are outdated, and that connects me to the technology piece. So we didn't have AI, we didn't have all these electronic available databases to do case research and things like that. Now you do. So these are wonderful tools to use in addition to your own analysis skills, your own writing skills, and to be able to leverage that to make you just that much more refined and polished. It's not a replacement. And if I can echo anything, the message that I've given, and I'm going to echo it back, that I see Ashley and Monica have taken, is Monica, remember I've said this many times, you're going to get out what you put in. So if you're just taking this as I sign into a meeting, or, I can just, put half the effort into my writing or copy paste or this or that, that's okay. That's what you're offering, and that's what you're going to get back. But if you take the time to actually read the content, engage in the discussions with your mentors, watch the webinars, practice a few of the things and take the feedback, you're just going to level up. You're going to take the strengths you have and make them even better, and take anything that needs development and make that better. So the last point I'll say, I appreciate Monica mentioning the exams, because that speaks to time management and your ability to manage stress. And that's just a life skill. So some of you may have to work while you're doing this program, but you're still obligated to show up to meetings, deliver the research memo on time, show up to the assessments that we do on time. And so learning to balance that. And if you need space because you have an exam next week, you tell your colleagues. You tell your mentor, can we reschedule? I'm stressed. I have to work on this and that. So sometimes the mentor mentee one-on-ones is just a pep talk. I just listen. We just listen. We try to give you whatever support and tools we can to get through the stressful period. So all in all, I think you can only benefit from engaging with the LPP. So that's what I have to say on that. And hopefully we hope that you do choose to join the program.
Thank you so much, Noreen. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Ashley, so much as well for sharing all of your experiences with the program. A couple of things I want to just quickly address as part of the questions that are coming in, as well as that Noreen, you mentioned, and Monica, you mentioned it a moment ago, the licensing exams. So one of the things that we like to encourage folks, as you plan ahead for this program, as much as possible, if it's doable, get the licensing exams out of the way. Simply because in some cases, some of our employers will actually mention in the job posting they're only interested in receiving applications from candidates who've completed the licensing exams. So if you haven't completed them, you won't be in a position to apply to that particular opportunity. In addition to that, and everyone has touched on this, of how busy this program is in general. And life itself is busy as well. If you've got all of this going on, the amount of quality time that you can dedicate to studying, to finding success in completing those exams can be quite challenging. So if you can get it out of the way, get it out of the way. If you can do it after the program, do it after the program. But in the end, it's you as a professional who has to manage, juggle, and deliver. In the end, all we can assess you on is what you do in the program and the delivery of the quality of that work. So if it impedes your ability to deliver quality work, unfortunately, success may not be found in our program. So really, really think about that carefully. The other piece that Noreen just touched on when it comes to technology is the use of AI. Now, we've all become very comfortable with it as a tool for quickly looking up a recipe, getting advice about our workout, maybe planning a travel or trip that we're looking at, or something else. And that's great. It's a wonderful tool, but it is a tool. Our program is the foundation of what we need to have as part of appropriate professionals in our profession. That means doing the legal research. That means doing the writing. That means conducting the analysis. This is fundamental. You cannot turn it over to the AI and plug it in and say, draft me this and submit that. I'm letting you know right now that if that is your style or something that you've become accustomed to doing, it won't serve you well here. Because number one, we will find out. Number two, what will end up happening is you may not find success in the program and may be out of the program. So please do not see the AI as a replacement. It is foundational as members of the profession that we have these skills to use because we are being trusted with our clients' files, their situations, and working with our employers and delivering the best that we can. And that does not mean replacing your skills. It means leveraging tools to support you, but you need to have the fundamental skills. Of course, as well, and I'm getting this question quite often here in the chat, some folks are, well, what's the percentage of securing a work experience? What I can tell you is that with over a decade, so we're in year 12 right now, we have a great track record of candidates securing experiences. And in fact, if not 100%, very close to it across the board for this period of time. Now, here's the thing. That success, though, depends on you investing your time and energy in quality applications, conducting outreach, doing great interviews. It's not about us. It's about you. So it's important that you remember that and that you follow through on it because, again, as everyone has pointed out, you get out of the program what you put into the program. So it's critical that you keep that in mind. And of course, when it comes to the training, and Gina is going to talk about this in a second, it is intense and there's a lot to be gained from it. But again, you've got to be able to take advantage of it because it will set you up for success. Someone else has been asking, can I leverage something else that I've done to fulfill the work experience? Well, let me just clarify this right now. This is an 8-month program that is sequential. 4 months of hands-on training in the virtual training component where you're in the simulation, and then 4 months, January to April, for the work experience. So you cannot use anything else to fulfill the work experience, and it cannot be outside of this order. The sequence matters, and the program matters from that perspective. If it doesn't meet your personal requirements, there's another pathway for sure. Take that pathway. But our pathway is structured this way, and you need to be able to manage that. Now, Gina, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Andre. Just one more comment because we've talked about the intensity of the program, and it is, you've heard Ashley and Monica and even Noreen reference how much you're juggling. And that would include if you're thinking about the exams, or if you have, one of you mentioned life issues. There are, apart from your colleagues and apart from us and apart from your mentor, we do have a terrific team who is also very supportive of you and can help you navigate that. So one of the comments that I always run and remind people of, if there are medical issues, health issues, etc., that you want to talk to somebody about, if there are accommodations that you need to set up, please ensure you do that well in advance of August. The last thing you need is, as you're getting used to the technology and the schedules and the meetings, to also be trying to set those up. It's important that those get done beforehand. We have great team members. You might know the name Lee. You'll see Charlotte. There are other team members who will support you in that, but you have to take, it's what you've heard from everybody. It's what you put into it that you get out of it. And so being able to be proactive is really, really critical as you move forward. So Andre, I think that takes us to 1:15, which is the end of the session. If you want to close us out with tremendous thanks to
Sure.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gina. A giant thank you to Monica, to Noreen, to Ashley for taking the time to give back to the program as part of helping all of you as prospective candidates. We really hope that for those of you who hadn't seen part 1 of this series, go back to the website and look at part 1. and share this with your colleagues and friends to be able to learn more. Again, we are a program that is really helpful in building your success and career. We hope that you do select the LPP. If you have additional questions, please visit the website. Please look at the FAQs. And if you still have questions after that, feel free to email us. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next time.